We are live just about a little over 12 hours before we tee it up in Detroit. Wanted to get on for 10, 15 minutes, talk about the golf course, talk about the betting cards, talk about whatever comments arise before we tee it off. Final thoughts, go through some of the bets I made, some of the bets you guys made, whatever. So let's talk about first some interviews. There was, like I said, the last few weeks, the interviews pre-tournament leading up to these events have gotten worse and worse and worse. Brooks Koepka is the only person to really say you guys are asking the worst questions ever, because like no one would say that but Brooks. And yeah, like it's true. Like it really is true. No, a hand up. This is maybe a hot take because he gets a lot of shit. The one reporter who really asks good questions is Dan freaking Rappaport. Dan has balls and is not scared to ask these golfers interesting questions, and that it will lead them to going into detail on how they're feeling in their brain, because that's more times than not what I'm trying to get out from these interview narratives that this show used to be mainly more about than it is now, because the interviews are just better than they are now. So shout out Dan Rapp. You ask really good questions, and more journalists, if I had the privilege to do that one day, would grow a pair and hopefully do that. Ask them how they're feeling, how they're swinging it, stuff like that. Because when you just ask guys circling back and forth their opinion on live and the Saudis, it's just repetitive and boring, and no one wants to hear that. Like, I mean, people want to hear that, but we want to know how they're swinging, how they're feeling, how they like the golf course, how they're going to play this week. It's sometimes it's a cheat code. Like Billy Horschel, whenever he has an interview, will tell you like exactly how he's feeling and how he will play that week. So, um, Tom Kim talked about how he's feeling really good, how his game feels in a really good spot, and he talked about how like this golf course is really classical, and how he thinks the key to success on this golf course is hitting fairways, which is just an interesting point that Tom Kim made, because that's like no one's no one said that ever this week. Like no tout or no golf person or no even winner here has said that. And I mean, yeah, obviously playing out of the fairway is going to help. It's not going to hurt you, but I think that launching the ball off the tee as far as possible and just making birdies from there. I mean, there's multiple ways to do that, which is why I think Tom Kim has such a high floor, because he's going to hit every fairway. He's going to hit it to 25 feet every single hole, and he's going to make some putts. Like his floor is so high. He's such a safe uh miss. Like he's not going to do anything crazy and make a bogey. Probably will not make many bogeys this week. So yeah, I love Tom Kim in DraftKings. Do you want to play that 11K? Or what are you going to get at an 11K Tom Kim, who's going to be one of the most owned guys? I think his barometer for it being worth it or not is T6. So ask yourself, I'm playing Tom Kim in DraftKings. Will he finish T6 or better? If you say yeah, then play him in your lineups. If you say no, then don't. So that's where I think it's going to be worth it for you guys to play him in your lineups, because obviously he's the highest priced golfer. You're going to have to dive a little deeper on the DraftKings board. So that's where I'm setting my parameter with Tom Kim. Top of the range, no real other thoughts from Monday that's changed. I still like, I figured where the chalk is going to be with Cam and Tom. Norin seems a little bit under the radar right now, which is hopefully good. I'm going to play Norin. I was going to wait till Wednesday to see where he is, because Norin was the DFS gem before he had those few weak stretches early on in the season. I like the fairways hit for sure. I really like the fairways hit. The birdies is tougher, because I mean, as you guys, as you know, love you too, Weez. As you know, the single round birdie props are always tough, because I mean, we see it all the time. Like Tony Finau will get super hot on one day and then be absolutely shit the next day. If I had to pick one, I would definitely suggest Tom Kim fairways, just because he's a fairway machine, and these fairways are wider than tour average. So TK should hit fairways. I would lean that over the birdie prop for sure. And then Cam Young, I still think I think he's gonna play well, but it's not. I don't think it's worth the chalk. Like it's really convenient that Cam Young had a really, really good week. I mean, really, really good weekend. The week before he plays a shit field, the week before he plays, of course, he's finished runner up at. Like Cam Young's been in far better form in worse fields and still hasn't done it. So I'm gonna pass on Cam Young. Good luck if you're playing him. Good luck if you're betting Cam Young. Up top, I'm staying with Norin. I'm staying with Minwoo. Did not bet any of these guys. I was close to pulling the trigger on Norin or Akshay at the 20 to 20 in that 20 to 25 range, but I didn't. I just don't think it's worth to buy Akshay at an absolute peak in pricing when you're getting him off of a week that was mainly fueled by the putter. You look at Akshay's stats, he drove it really well. He was about average to worse than average with his irons, and he putt really well. Like, sure, like I said, I'm making the comparison that these greens and Travelers greens are very similar, but do I want to buy an Akshay at his absolute peak when his biggest key to success was rolling a ton of long putts? He was average with his irons, and like I never want Akshay in an event where you have to go to -20 or lower. He's been a pro for 5.5 years in both Korn Ferry and PGA Tour. He's only gotten a -20 twice. So I like Akshay. I bet him last week, obviously, but I bet him at 90 to 1. It's a lot different than 20 to 1. You got to bet a lot more to get the return you're looking for. So I would say I'm out on Akshay, and he's squeezing Noren at like in DFS. Like Akshay and Minwoo and that TK Kamian are kind of squeezing Noren's ownership. So I like Noren a lot. I like Minwoo a lot. So down in the other bets I've made, the other DFS thoughts I've made, I guess down in this next range of golfer, um, Stefan Jaeger. Stefan Jaeger, you guys know, cashed me that big ticket at the Houston Open. Why not go right back to him? It's a golf course that asks you similar questions to what you saw at in Houston. Yeah, so I'm not really overthinking that one. And he finished T3 in Mexico, one of my biggest comps there. So I love me some Yags around that 30 to 1 price. I like him in DFS. Keith Mitchell's a very interesting case this week because uh, I talked about Keith Mitchell on Monday morning, how beautiful his stats were going to look, but I was like, good luck if you're betting him at 20 to 1. For whatever reason, like he's kind of going under the radar this week because at least this season alone, when he's in these weaker fields and even when the stats were in great form, he's been like the 25 to 1 range. Like if he was 25 to 1 this week, no one like would bat an eye. It'd be like, okay, yeah, Keith Mitchell's priced in a fine spot. He drifted all the way to 45 to 1. So I kind of like shit on it Monday morning. Like I don't think we should bet on a Keith Mitchell. He doesn't freaking win. Not that this bet's gonna win. I'm gonna make, but I feel much better about betting a Keith Mitchell at 45 to win one than I do at 25 to 1. So yeah, the stats obviously make sense for Keith Mitchell. He's a bomber. He's hitting the ball so well. He's played well on the comp courses. He has played not great here, but what the thing that really drew me to Keith Mitchell was he ranks second in this entire field in birdie or better percentage. I know the putter's streaky, but he's got multiple ways to make birdies, whether he gets hot with the putter or the irons have been freaking dialed this year. So I like Keith in that range. I like him in DFS as well. He doesn't seem to be really garnering too much ownership. It looked like Davis Thompson and him were going to be around the same in terms of ownership, but it looks like Davis is garnering a lot more ownership than Keith, at least right now. We'll see how that comes in tomorrow morning, but if that's the case, I think you should play with Keith over Davis. Top of this not 8K range, Maverick's really popular. I do like Maverick to have a really good week, but I'm gonna pivot down to Aaron Rye or Bob Mack because they're a fraction of the ownership and they provide. I don't know if they're as safe as Maverick might be this week, but they provide a very similar floor or ceiling. I'm sorry. Bob Mack is obviously a winner this year. Aaron Rye has been flushing the golf ball these last 6 weeks, and he's got a T9 here in his career. Like this doesn't scream Aaron Rye, but usually he gets so chalky, and he's kind of going under the radar this week. Definitely down for some Rye in this 8K range. Down to the 7K range or in this mid-range betting, Patrick Rogers, I think, is a really good candidate. He's one of the course comp. He's one of the course comp horses. That's what I'm going to call him, a course comp horse. The course comps this week, Silverado and Vidanta in Mexico. He's got top sixes, top tens at both of them more than once. So I like that from P. Raj. He's gained a ton of distance this year. I think he really will play well this week. If P. Raj can get that first win of his career I like the Stanford Cardinals this week, like Thor Bjornsson, P. Raj, and Maverick McNeely. You got to go with the Stanford guys this week. Everyone knows it. So definitely, I should ask Bovada to name a bet and get like a top 20 parlay on Thor Bjornsson, Maverick, and what's the last guy I said? Patrick Rogers, the Stanford Cardinal. Is there any more Stanford Cardinals in this field? Stanford golf alumni. What if like the first one that came up was Tiger Woods and he's in this field? If there's another Stanford Cardinal in this field, I'm going to No, I really don't think there is. It is Maverick. It is Thorbjornsen. It is P. Raj. Brandon Wu. Brandon Wu. He is in this field, I think. Brandon Wu. He's in this field. Okay. I'm going to ask Bovada or whatever bookmaker that does the name a bet to let me get a parlay on that. Yeah, Rye is striping the ball. Like he's going to hit a ton of greens. Yes, I do like that a lot. His fault is his putter. He sometimes is one of the worst putters on tour, but he's going to hit every fairway. He's going to hit, I would say, over 14.5 greens. The weather is fine tomorrow. Down for some Rye. Down towards the triple digits, long shot guys. Eric Van Rooyen. Why the hell is Eric Van Rooyen 80-1 in this field? This man's won more times than like basically anyone on this odds board the last 2 years, 3 years. And he's 80-1 and he's in fine form. He's got plus distance. He's a great putter. He's played great on the comp courses. He almost won in Mexico. Don't get that. Like, I'm going to bet Eric Van Rooyen. Hondro Tosti and Chris Gotterup, I probably will bet in / play in Detroit every single year. They're two of the most aggressive / longest golfers off the tee. And then from there, like, they have avenues to get hot with the putter or the iron play, just not even iron play, just flip wedges because they're going to be so far down the fairway or the rough, wherever they're bombing it to. So Toasty and Gotterup, I think, are very great targets. Matt Wallace, the conundrum of Wallace is getting out of hand this week. Not out of hand. It's just it makes so much sense. And he's seemingly not as popular in DFS as the projections are showing as I thought he would be, but I don't believe that to be the case. But from what he said early in the week, he said how much he loved this course, and he said how much, like, how good he's feeling. So I'm definitely down for some Wallace in DFS because I think he's safe to just make through the cut, and from there hopefully get a T20 or something like that. Also, that reminds me of Chris Kirk. Chris Kirk's form is not great at all right now, but he talked about, for some reason, he got an interview. He talked about how much he loved this golf course. So Chris Kirk, he's got good course history in the last few years. Foxy, I think, is a much better bet than a DFS play. I just think, I mean, you know how volatile Ryan Fox is. Ryan Fox can win this golf tournament just as easily as he can miss the cut, and no one will really be surprised. So, with that being said, I think he's better. You're better off betting like that 50-1 outright, or throw a nice like plus 700 top 10 bet. I wouldn't bet him in any like safe I wouldn't bet him in a matchup. I wouldn't bet him in like a cash DFS lineup, maybe like a single entry if you want like that make or break bullet. I just think he's very volatile, obviously has high upside, and playing good golf these last 2 months. Yeah, so that about wraps it up. Some other DFS plays I think are interesting. Nikolai Horgaard, just he might be a little bit chalky based on where he is, but placing an underpriced Højgaard brother in your lineup or in your betting card is going to do you more well than it's going to hurt you. So I think you got to eat that Højgaard chalk. Mitchell versus Fox, birdie or better matchup. I would stay far away from that because Fox can make truly 8 birdies or he can make 1 birdie. He's just so volatile. Keith's probably safe in that 3 to 6 range, whereas Fox is just all over the place. I would stay away from Fox in matchups. If you want any Fox liability, outrights, top 5s, top 10s, it's like he's like an all or nothing guy. He's not like a safe matchup type guy. Yeah, 6K. I'm not going to go through the 6K range because I did a 6-minute video on that, going for all of my 6K plays. I talked about Minwoo up top. Sneaky 7K guy, Sam Stevens. This guy went to the Korn Ferry Tour to play in his hometown, Wichita, Kansas, and he finished runner-up. Like, he had no reason to play that event, and this is a glorified Korn Ferry event this week, and he's 13th on tour in driving distance, which is crazy to think Sam Stevens hits the ball that far. Driving distance plus playing some good golf the last 2 weeks, down for some Stevens at 7,200 is going to be very under-owned. So that wraps it up. Quick 15 minutes. Any last-minute questions, DM me. I'll get back to you as soon as possible, and let's have a good week. By the way, plane tickets, hotel are booked. I'm going to Scotland for the Open, so going to have a ton of boots on the ground content there. So, yeah, as always, ask me questions, DM me. Always there to help. Always want your output. I would probably ask you questions too. So, peace out. Talk to you guys Friday afternoon.